I suppose the first thing teens looking at this background are going to say, I'm not listening to anything this old fart is going to tell me. Well, pay attention for a few minutes, and then if you don't like it, click off. Let's review a few stories about teens who made very bad decisions. And some of those decisions end up with teens being raped, murdered, or falling off cliffs, whatever. Let's review some of these stupid things teens do. In this particular case, a 16-year-old girl from Indian Trail, North Carolina, was online and met this guy who's 30 years old. Did she know that he was a sex offender, a rapist? I don't think so. Nonetheless, you see her in this news clip walking away from home with a bag in her left hand and a backpack on her back, probably full of clothing and toiletries, whatever. And she was going to go off and meet this guy, and who knows what was in her mind. Why did she do it? Well, let's explore some of those reasons. So now, why did this 16-year-old girl decide out of the blue at 16 to run away from home? Well, the fact is, I posted up here on the website for you to read, but meanwhile, look to the left and let me read it to you. It says Porter, the sex offender from Oklahoma really, who brought this girl to Missouri, 750 miles away from her home, took advantage of comments she made about stress and wanting to run away on social media. So social media, well, let's find out a little bit more about this social media thing, which you already know. The reasons include, let me read some of them. Inability to cope with problems at home. I understand that. Inability to cope with school-related problems. I understand that. There's school bullying. There's all kinds of stuff going on in the life of a teenager that is not really great. The news is saying, look, we're all going to die in 10 or 12 years from global warming. And I mean, the kids today are under a tremendous amount of stress. Hence, the increase in suicides among teens and so forth. Some of the other reasons are abuse. It could be abuse by friends, colleagues, fellow students, boyfriends, girlfriends, whatever. Addiction and substance abuse. Okay, that's on the rise. Why? Only you know. I don't know, because I never actually smoked marijuana or any of that stuff. The reason I never did is because I was afraid I might get addicted to it. Who knows? In any event, seeking attention. That's a key thing right there in social media. Seeking attention. That's why 85% of the kids and adults are followers today. And there are certain, I can't call them leaders, just influencers that attract these 85% of followers, and they want to be like that person. They want to have as many friends as that person has on social media. So they strive to have 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, it doesn't matter. An influencer is somebody I've discovered that has more than 50,000 followers. That's the one people, even advertisers, seek these influencers out to sell their product to who? To you, the follower teen. Okay. Domestic violence between parents. I get it. I went through some of that myself, in fact, as a kid. Lack of parent-child communication. The parents today seem to have no ability to communicate with the teens. None. I mean, a lot of parents, a lot of single moms, they go to work or whatever they do. The guy's already run off, taken off. He did his thing, so can't find him anywhere to collect child support. Mistreatment of a teen by parents or other adults, or even other teens. Okay, Let me move down. 85% of all people, adults and teens alike, are followers. I'm not a follower. You see them all the time. Political parties. I'm going to follow this guy because he makes sense. I'm going to follow that guy because I like what he did or she did to help a cause that I'm leaning toward. 90% of teens aged 13 to 17, 90% of you teens use social media. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. And it says here, I didn't write this, but I did pick it up. Social media usage by teen has several benefits, including developing good social and communication skills. I get that. However, in developing emotional support, teen brains do not really function properly and understand things that need to be understood until age in their 20s, early 20s. I can relate to that too. I remember being really stupid. My buddies would be having a bottle of beer or whatever, and I would join in at 14. Come on. That's why I didn't do drugs. I might be addicted to it. Who knows? But 14, they're doing it. I might as well do it. That's what you think as a teen. They're doing it. I should do it. I want to be a friend to this person. How do I get to be a friend? Well, let me seek that friend out, and we'll see. We'll talk back and forth, and I'll see what they do, and I want to try to emulate or copy what they're doing so that I can be accepted by my peers. Come on. Anyway, it says, however, the use of social media platforms such as Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok has its downsides. Well, what are those downsides? Well, like exposing teens to harmful content, vulnerability to treacherous people, like this Bobo at 30 years old, talking the 16-year-old girl with a 16-year-old brain into leaving with him and going out to Missouri for days on end. Exposing teens to harmful content. Yeah, vulnerability to treacherous people. Sharing of viable personal and family information. Misspelled arsenal. My mistake. Identity theft and cyberbullying. There's a lot of that going on too. Teens today, it is said, are shaped by the digital world. Knowing that your brain is shaped by the digital world, wouldn't you understand and believe that you are influenced by all kinds of things? News. Where do kids get their news? Facebook, of course. Do you know that the Chinese communists work social media and try to form your thinking? Not only communism, your education system. You're being brainwashed and you know it, but you kind of say, well, you know, everybody else is listening to this stuff, so I've got to conform. I don't want to be dissed by my fellow students. I want to be popular, so I don't want to make any waves, even though I know I'm being influenced politically or any other reason. So teens today are shaped by the digital world. Teens are. Adults aren't, by the way. I'm old. I get it. I was a teen 1,000 years ago, and I did stupid things like you do stupid things. I took risks. At 16, I thought I was Superman. I actually went out to my vehicle and tried to pick it. I thought I was Superman. I thought I could pick it up by the front bumper. after I threw my back out, I figured, well, that was a stupid thing to do because we're stupid as teens. And then if you notice, well, you probably don't notice, so I'll just tell you, social media seems to be just something that the teens up to age 34 actually, I think it's 13 to 34, use social media. After 34, do you realize that that statistic drops way down? Why, do you figure? Because adults have the adult brain in their 20s, and certainly by the age of 34, they figured out that a lot of things they've done is stupid. And so I guess the term would be they grow up a little bit. That's why they're called grown-ups, because they think for themselves, yet 85% of adults are still followers. They get that from being a follower as a teen. All right, let me get on to a different subject right now, a different type of stupid thing that teens do. Teens taking selfies. The moral of this particular segment is this: some teenagers are dying to make new friends, and they do this by selfies. In 2018, 259 people died taking selfies, like sitting up on a ledge of a 30-story building, or one was swimming in the water and wanted to take a picture of a walrus that killed her. Another one was up on a bridge and fell off, taking the ideal selfie to impress my friends. So things that stupid teens do include taking risky selfies, and taking selfies anyway. Why would you take a selfie? Here's a phone. Click. Hey, it's me. Who am I trying to impress? Myself? No. I don't need a picture. I can go look in the mirror. So it's to take some weird picture and put it on what? Social media. Why? Why is social media so important to teenagers? I actually don't understand it because I'm not guilty of being on. I have a Facebook page that is the only person I let on there is actually just family. That's it. I used to be on Facebook a lot, and the whole goal was, my daughter was the same way, how many people can I get to like me? What do I care? What do you care? Really? Well, if I get 1,000 people to like me, then I can show all my friends how popular I am. Who cares how popular you are or you need to be? You don't. That's a lack of self-worth. Plain and simple, it really is. That's why 85% of people are followers. Read along with me here and you'll see. It says on the bottom of the photo, teens have a desire, an actual need, a self-fulfilling need to have a favorable opinion from their peers. Social media seems to provide that in the minds of many teens, yet their peers are really only thinking about themselves. They could care less about you when you know it. Your people at school, oh, I have to impress this guy, or I'm afraid of that person, so I got to be careful of what I do or what I say, and I don't want to become dissed. I don't want to become bullied. And that's a real situation, especially in the school systems today, where, geez, anything at all can happen. You get your lights punched out for looking at somebody the wrong way. And that develops into a case that happened in North Carolina about 2 weeks ago. A guy came walking out of a supermarket, minding his own business, and another person shot him dead because he looked at the guy the wrong way. It stems from how you're developing yourself as a teenager. That's how it starts. Visual platforms deliver the tools that allow teens to earn approval. Again, why do you need to have the approval of people? Why? Psychologically, I can't even answer that. I just can't, because I'm not a follower. I'm not necessarily an influencer or a leader, but I certainly don't follow people, believe me, because they lead you to all the wrong places, apparently. Even when I was a teen. Come on, John, let's have a beer. Come on, what do you got, no guts? What are you, a big baby? Your mommy gonna, send you to bed early because you had a beer? And so you'd have a beer. Why? Well, I didn't want to disappoint my friends. They're not my friends. Today, any friends that I had, I'll give you an illustration as a teen. I had a friend named Charlie, and we were buddies. We played cards together and all kinds of stuff, go places and do stuff. And one day, Charlie was giving me a bunch of crap, and I didn't like it. I felt kind of, bullied. And worse than that, he knelt down behind me, and I didn't know that. And my own brother, Vern, pushed me, and I fell over Charlie, who was behind me, and they both, So I get being a teen is tough. It's really tough. You have girlfriend, boyfriend problems. I was totally beside myself at 16. I had a girlfriend, or I wanted her to be my girlfriend. And no matter what I did or said to her, she would just diss me, meaning blow me off like I didn't even exist. And in her world, I didn't exist. And in your world, you don't exist, trying to impress your friends. Just be you. You know how valuable you are? You can plan your life out and have a really successful life. A successful life, to me, is enjoying what you do. I'm enjoying what I'm doing right now. This is what I do, among other things. But in your job life, I was an Air Force person when I was 20. And I didn't have to impress anybody. Half of the people I knew in the Air Force were crazy. A guy named Dan was a sergeant. Well, he was a sergeant, and they kept ripping stripes off because he was a drunk. Anyway, he said, John, come on, let's go for a ride in my convertible. And he was drunk. So stupid me, being influenced for the moment, hey, I'm a GI. Okay, sure, let's go, Dan. He was doing over 100 miles an hour through a town. And I was praying all the way through, oh, Lord, let me not die. Some of my friends in high school pulled that same trick, doing 80, 90 miles an hour down Route 138 in eastern Massachusetts, and hit a tree and died, along with everybody else in the car. So what did they accomplish? Death. What do these people in the selfies do? They're accomplishing what? Death. And then if they impress somebody, believe me, you're not impressing a soul, no matter who you're trying to impress. What they're thinking is, this guy's an idiot, or this girl is kind of weak and needs some kind of affirmation that she's really my pal or whatever. They could care less about you. It was said by my English teacher back in the day, John, smarten up, because I was a clown in high school, until this teacher grabbed me by the throat and slung me up against the lockers and said, you know something, John, you're never going to see these people again. He was right. They weren't my lifetime friends. To this day, I have a few that send me an email or whatever from way back when. But, again, I'm not that impressed by it. I don't need to be impressed by it. I don't need to impress other people. I'm me. I like me for who I am. Okay, let me go off to another subject. So I think I'll wrap this up about now because you should have gleaned what is called a metacognitive ability, maybe even as a teen. I don't know. Usually doesn't happen till you're age 20 or in your 20s. That's when you begin to understand or think about your thinking, and then you begin to analyze what you're thinking, why you're thinking it, and that doesn't happen again till later on in life in your 20s. But let's look at this article here that says teens think they know more than their parents or more than the elderly. Right now you're saying to yourself, yeah. Well, stay with it. This is not my research. This is someone else's research, psychologists. And it says, according to psychology, the teenage years of a child, it begins to develop the rebellion stage. This is why the influencers, the 15% of you, teachers, educators, the media, communist Chinese, they influence the beans out of you as a teenager in social media. They influence you to become rebellious because they know from age 10 through 20, they can easily cause you to rebel against your country, your parents, your church, you name it. They want to make you a rebellious person. This has happened way back in my day, in fact. Kent State University was one. They were rebellious. And somehow the military went in the end. Shouldn't have, but they ended up shooting some of those rebels. And they died. That's changed now because of the laws, I suppose. But anyway, you will become a rebellious teenager. It's not your fault. You don't have a choice. You're being brainwashed and educated almost every day of your life, especially in public schools. John, what do you know? You know it as well as I know it, even at your age. You know you're being influenced by social media. Your friends are trying to tell you, do this, be that, don't be fat, go buy new clothes or spend your brains out, get into debt with the credit cards, do whatever you have to do to be popular, right? Okay, so it says by age 10, the child's peers, rather than his parents, begin to assume primary importance in the child's decisions about what to do. Then it says as children get older, their metacognitive abilities, which I've explained up above, why teens and preteens become rebellious, and metacognitive is when you grow up, basically. That's when you begin to have an understanding of what you think and why you think that way. And are you being influenced? And the answer is usually yes. So that by the time you get to be in your 20s, and then 30s, of course, unless you're kind of slow getting into a metacognitive stage or state, then in the 30s, the people start, I'm too busy, I've got a job now, I'm more responsible than I've ever been. So I'm evaluating what I thought as a child, and now I'm thinking more that a lot of things I did was stupid. So when you grow up and you learn to be evaluating how you got to where you got to be, whether a rebellious state or out there doing selfies or doing all kinds of crazy stuff, and you start to evaluate and say, nah, I'm getting off of this stupid Facebook thing. And a lot of people over the age 35 get off Facebook, TikTok. It's a kid, you realize it's a kid's thing. So stop trying to be an influencer. Stop being a follower, if you can, and realize that you have self-worth. You, all by your lonesome self. You are valuable to yourself. God made you. That's my belief anyway. You don't have to believe it, but we're all born physically, and we grow up, and God didn't want you to fail, so why should you? Anyway, with that, I bid you adieu. See you next time.